Can you train concurrently without making sacrifices to your muscular gains? Spoiler alert, you can, and I'll tell you how. Alright, before I get into it, I just want to make a short little disclaimer that I would never want to make an enemy out of cardio. Cardio is still extremely necessary for your overall health and well-being. I definitely do not want to make you make any major changes to your exercise routine or take away any sort of movement that you really enjoy. I just want to remind you all that resistance training builds muscle, cardio ultimately does not. So the questions that I'm going to be answering today are: 1. Why does cardio stop muscle growth? 2. How can I do cardio and still maintain muscular gains? And 3. Does this even apply to me? Because it might not yet. First, we're going to talk about why does cardio stop muscular growth? Why does the world have to be so cruel in that two forms of exercise can contradict each other? There's actually a few reasons for this. First of all, I'm going to touch on a physiological reason that we cannot avoid. So there are tons of enzymes and other chemicals in our muscles that cause different adaptations to happen. But to keep things simple, we're going to be talking about the main regulator of hypertrophy or muscle growth, mTOR. mTOR is a chemical in your muscles that trigger protein synthesis in order to grow your muscles in response to resistance training. For example, whenever you are lifting heavy weights, your body is going to have the physiological response to activate mTOR, which then activates protein synthesis, which then builds your muscles. On the other hand, endurance exercise, such as running, cycling, elliptical, etc., actually triggers a completely different range of chemicals in the muscle that directly inhibit mTOR. For example, going on a run after your weightlifting session will actually stop mTOR from working, and it will halt that protein synthesis. In other words, yes, endurance exercise directly has a deleterious effect on muscular gains. To make a long scientific explanation short, performing cardio exercise triggers a cascade of chemicals in the muscle that directly inhibit muscle hypertrophy. There are a couple other reasons that cardio can inhibit your gains as well. These reasons have slightly less scientific evidence backing them, but I'll go ahead and touch on them and mention them to you just so you're aware of what exercise physiologists are currently observing and studying in order to better understand the best way to make muscular gains. The first one of those reasons, of course, is what we just touched on, which is inhibition of mTOR. Endurance exercise keeping protein synthesis from happening and therefore inhibiting hypertrophy altogether. The second reason that cardio can interfere with muscular gains are neurological factors that impair motor recruitment. There is actually such a thing as neurological exhaustion, in which signals from the brain that tell your muscles to contract will actually dampen and weaken the more and more that you exercise. Although this is true, there is limited evidence linking this to keeping hypertrophy from happening. Third reason that cardio can interfere with your muscular gains is having low muscle glycogen. Muscle glycogen is an energy source needed to perform exercise, and if you're doing a bunch of cardio all the time, that is depleting your glycogen stores in the muscle and preventing you from being able to put your maximum effort into your lifting session. The fourth and final reason that cardio can be interfering with your muscular gains is just overtraining in general, but there is very limited evidence supporting this. If you are interested in diving a little bit deeper into the scientific evidence based on this and the sources that I used, I will link those papers in the description box below. So the real question is, how do I do cardio while still making muscular gains? How can I lose weight with cardio but not lose muscle mass? I will be honest, like I said before, this is a realm of research that is still being developed today, but there are a couple of new suggestions that exercise physiologists have come up with in order to most effectively combine cardio with resistance exercise. What kind of cardio exercise can I do that will inhibit muscular growth the least? The answer? Sprint workouts. Don't panic. Whenever I say sprint workouts, I don't necessarily mean only sprint. I mean any exercise that takes your maximum level of intensity, your maximum level of effort in a very short period of time. So yes, you guessed it, HIIT, or high intensity interval training, applies to this as well. You can probably observe that athletes that do more fast, explosive movements, such as sprinters, are able to maintain more muscle mass than an endurance athlete, such as a marathoner. This is because short-term explosive cardio that lasts more or less around 30 seconds primarily stays in an anaerobic state. This means your body doesn't kick into endurance mode, so it doesn't trigger that cascade of inhibitory signals. It does not trigger the release of those chemicals that inhibit mTOR, that inhibit protein synthesis, that inhibit hypertrophy. Cardio that is moderate intensity, long duration, will absolutely trigger that cascade of chemicals that will inhibit hypertrophy, whereas maximum intensity, short intervals, does not inhibit mTOR and will not inhibit hypertrophy. Like I said, there are plenty of disclaimers here. You probably noticed that I only really touched on mTOR and preventing its inhibition, and that's because any cardio exercise that you perform is going to be hard on the body. So those other reasons that cardio can interfere with muscular gains, such as low muscle glycogen, impairing neurological motor recruitment, are still valid even if you're doing sprint workouts. Another disclaimer is although sprint workouts may not trigger that cascade of mTOR inhibition, it still could. That's because we are human beings and it is so hard to know if you are actually working at your maximum intensity. It's really difficult to maintain maximum intensity even for that short period of time, and some people that are not professional athletes may not even know what it feels like to work at their absolute maximum level of effort. That being said, my two best recommendations for concurrent training are as follows. First, if you are blessed with plenty of time on your hands and you really want to lift around 4 to 5 times a week, try to separate your cardio workouts, sprint workouts, HIIT workouts, around 8 hours apart from your lifting sessions. For example, HIIT in the morning, lift in the evening. That way, if your HIIT workout did in fact trigger that cascade of some inhibitory signals, meaning you didn't necessarily stay at your maximum effort the entire duration of that workout, those inhibitory chemicals have some time to leave the muscles via the bloodstream before your lifting session begins. My second recommendation, which is a little bit more realistic, if you only have time to work out once a day, like most people, place your sprint workout, place that cardio workout after your lifting session. That way those other factors like muscle fatigue, low muscle glycogen, impaired neurological signals will not affect your lifting session if your priority for that energy is muscle hypertrophy, gains in strength, gains in size. However, with this type of training, if you are really focused on not inhibiting any of that protein synthesis, it will be of utmost importance that your cardio workout following that lifting session falls into the sprint workout category. So that way you don't lose any of those gains that you just worked for. Last but not least, the final question, does this even apply to me? I'm including this small segment at the end because I've had friends tell me things such as,
well, I've been hopping on the elliptical for about an hour a day and doing some body weight exercises here and there, and I've actually seen significant gains in muscle size and tone in my legs, in my butt.
Whatever it is. So does that mean this research is false? No. But you still may be actually seeing those gains. You're not delusional. The reason for these beginner gains is because all of this crazy research that I've been word vomiting to you actually really only applies to people who lift regularly or who are athletes, because the studies that I'm referencing have primarily used athletes as their test subjects, and we see that contradictory relationship between cardio and lifting weights in people who are regularly fit and maintain a regular exercise routine. Therefore, if that does not apply to you, technically this research doesn't apply to you either. It does not apply to untrained individuals. And whenever I say untrained individuals, it's actually maybe a broader window than you think. An individual is still considered untrained in the first 20 weeks since beginning their regular exercise regimen. 20 weeks. You got 20 weeks to exercise to your fullest, run, lift weights, whatever. So the answer is no. If you just recently started your fitness journey, you're one of the lucky ones. Your body has not fully adapted to regular exercise just yet, and the signaling triggers are going to look a little Therefore, you could still trigger protein synthesis with mTOR, even if you went on a long run right after your lift. Enjoy it while you can. Alright y'all, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the information. Like I said, I will be linking that concurrent training research down in the description box below. And I will see you on Tuesday with another workout video and on Friday with another video. If you like the informative science-based video, let me know. I love making these. This is my passion. But also if you liked the more vlog style video with what I eat in a day, let me know because I really enjoyed making that as well. Bye!